Okay, we started in about the 80s. We planted most of these trees here. The creek line was looking fairly bare, so we fenced it off and planted all these trees, and also provided protection for a lot of these shrubs which have started to come up. If we keep the stock out of here, these paper barks, and you'll see the casuarinas. There's probably a few York gums in the creek line. Yes, over the years we've had a bit of help from the various departments. You know, I think we got some support to put the fences up, and we got a grant to plant these trees from a federal department. It was so long ago I can't remember. It's very rewarding to see the results after 30 years. When you start planting trees, you only get a little seedling in the ground. You don't think much. But once you've seen these 30-year-old trees, and then you start getting the bird life and nature taking over, yeah, it's very rewarding. This is a spring here, which is virtually permanent. There's usually water here all the year round, and you can see the kangaroos have come down here chasing the fresh water, and it's quite obvious it's fresh with that nice lush bit of grass there. And we've got some of the paper barks here, which seem to be very hard to germinate, but these ones have just come up by themselves, and we have some more further down here. This is just a self-sown casuarina obesa. I used to think that these were a weed. In the wet years they used to come up everywhere, but in the last decade or so they just seem to, they're quite rare coming up now. Yeah, they should be all down this creek line. Yeah, they're not germinating because the ground must be getting just too dry or not wet enough during the right time of the year, or what, I'm not sure, but yeah, we don't get them as much as we used to. Okay, we've started off by fencing this off, which we ended up with this big bare patch of nothing here. So we decided to put some coral gum in, just to get some flowering at different times of the year. The creek line here is a little disappointing because of the casuarinas don't seem to be rejuvenating as much as they used to in the past. So we've just got to get more trees down this creek line. There is a little bit of salt affected areas there. It's not very serious, but it's just a bend in the creek line that was bare, so we've had to put something in. And natives, yes, and shrubs. We have planted trees in the past and we've just gone for big trees, but they don't work. You need ground cover and bushy trees.
We acquired this property about 6 years ago, and we were quite concerned with the Yadgena Brook through this section, that it was quite barren and the river was eroding. You know, every time we get a lot of water coming through, part of the bank would collapse and we'd be losing what little bits of vegetation were there were sort of falling into the creek, so that was a bit of an issue. And we were quite keen to see the corridor that's almost complete from the Moora River and Moora through to Whaler being completed. This section is one of the only gaps in the corridor, so we wanted to join that up. And these trees you can see here were planted 18 months ago, and they're doing really well, and we're really happy with the rate of growth we're getting out of them. Some very good soil down here. Probably should have put a wheat crop in, but you can cut that bit out. We enjoy making the farm a beautiful place to be. Something you can be proud of, and somewhere you can spend time with your family and friends and you know, make it look nice.
Right, we bought this place in 2016. It was just a small block, it's 600 acres. We've got some river over the other side, the Yadgena Brook, which it's a big system going right through several farms, which Rachel and her team are getting together and fixing up. This was a little bit of an offshoot off that. Very, very, very ugly scalded salt, severely affected salt actually. Very waterlogged, the paddocks around it and everything, so we decided when we bought the place that it certainly needed something happening, because the area around Moora is very flat country. It's renowned for flooding and water sitting on, being very clay and heavy soil, so we just did a few changes. It wasn't big cost to do. A couple of drains, diverted the water a little bit so it wasn't flooding the paddocks. Once we got that right, we then concentrated on basically fixing up these scalded areas, which, as you can see, it's in a bit over a year. What we've created here, it's gone from an absolute eyesore to something that's now looking quite nice, and I would say in the next few years you won't even notice that it was a scalded area. With the advice that we got from both yourself and Ian, once again on the scalded areas, I was actually wondering how we would actually get anything to grow there. I thought we were basically going to be putting the trees to this side and hiding the salt, not being able to get any plants to grow on that. I was actually amazed at what we've got growing there, the salt bush and the other, a lot of bottle brushes have actually taken in those areas. It's been quite amazing. No, definitely you've got to, these areas have to be fixed. You know, there's a couple of reasons. It's a really bad eyesore. It gives farming a bad name. People driving past and you know, just thinking that farmers don't really care about their country, where I'm pretty certain 90% of farmers do care about their country. It's just that some farmers don't know the channels to go down. The Yadgena Brook, which is quite an important ecosystem that goes right through from Whalebing through to Moora, it was a dying creek. It really was a sad sight, and the farmers have all banded together, thanks to Rachel, and the river, that creek system now is absolutely incredible how it's coming, and it's just in a short time span too. We're only talking probably, you know, eight years that it's been started on. And I think in 10 to 15 years it's going to be a great drive on the Midlands Road going through here, this whole system, because all the farmers have got on board and making it look a lot neater than what it was.